Hello, I'm Nick Rossington, Director of Financial Services at the Buy-to-Let Mortgage People. Today I'd like to talk to you about the general mortgage application process, because what we are finding, and what you're probably finding, is that mortgage applications are taking a little bit longer to go through than they have done previously, and certainly going back to a few years ago. I remember doing a buy-to-let mortgage application, actually submitting the application in the morning, and by that very same afternoon I'd got a fact mortgage offer that came through. Now, those were the days when buy-to-let lending was a lot more flexible, when lenders didn't need to see, as they do now, the last 3 months bank statements, if you're employed, the last 3 months salary slips, if you're self-employed, the last 2 years accounts, together with proof of residency and proof of identification. So everything has changed and got a lot tighter. The lending criteria has got a lot tighter, and I think the general underwriting process for buy-to-let mortgages has become more stringent as time's come on. But having said that, the time that lenders take to assess applications does vary with lenders. Some it is relatively quick, some it's a lot slower. And I think just looking at the dynamics of the market, what we are finding is that the bigger lenders are changing their criteria. And changing the criteria, an example being with the Abbey recently, they've dropped their interest only to 50% loan to value. Now, what that has meant is that they've cut back on the amount of money that they're lending out, and that has a knock-on effect to the rest of the market. So if Abbey are lending slightly less, then people will be going for mortgages. They probably won't be going to the Abbey, but they'll be looking at another lender. Now, it could be that they go to Northern Rock, even if it's for a residential mortgage. But if more mortgage applications are going into Northern Rock, what that means, whether it's for residential or buy-to-let, is that there is a bit of a bottleneck with processing. And a lot of these lenders are geared up to receive a certain amount of mortgages per day, per month, whatever criteria. But if that doubles overnight because another lender is not lending, then they don't always have the infrastructure to cope with increased volume. So we find that as a little bit of a challenge, but that is our job to constantly, as mortgage brokers, to constantly talk to the lenders, to chase applications through. If we need to talk to the valuers to get bookings in for valuations, we do all that. That's our job, and it's a very, I think it's an important job, part of the application process, because we know that lenders will only operate within their strict structures, but if anything that we can do to push things along, we can often talk to the business development manager, and he will help us trying to push a case through. The other thing that we are finding is that it's very difficult for lenders to judge demand for their products. We did see with the Woolwich a couple of months ago, they previously for buy-to-lets had a 60% loan to value maximum. They then upped that to 75% loan to value, and what that meant was that there was an influx of applications. The Woolwich didn't have the systems to cope with all that. There was a great big backlog in applications, and eventually they stopped lending on buy-to-let for certainly on that 75% product for 2 weeks, 3 weeks I think it was, just so that they can get caught up, and then they reintroduced the product which was 70% loan to value. So it's very difficult for them to manage the volume that's going to come in, and all that means is that if they try and up the volume, then if they haven't got everything in place and the people in place, then we do get a bit of a backlog. So it's very difficult for me as a broker and my team to say, if you put a mortgage application in this date, we know we'll get an offer by a certain date, because it all depends on how the underwriters assess the application, what other supporting information they require, and then how far it goes in the process. And then we have to also take into account the valuation process, how quickly the valuers get their reports back. We have had instances where valuation reports have come back, but surprisingly they have actually omitted to put in the rental income on a valuation report, which surprises me. But these sort of things happen, but it's up to us as brokers to make sure that we chase things through as quickly as possible. And what we do, once the application goes through, clearly before that's gone through, we've made sure you've met all the criteria. Then when we put the application through, we check that it's been received, we check what outstanding information is required, and then we ring the lender constantly on a daily basis, asking for updates, asking if there's anything we can do to speed the process up. And we need to be on their cases all the time, because if we don't, then things can drag. So please be patient if you are finding it a little bit a slow process with a certain lender, but rest assured that we will do everything we can to try and speed the process up. Thank you. I'm Nick Rossington, Director of Financial Services at the Buy-to-Let Mortgage People.